First, a local nonprofit that provides legal services is facing a major setback in their efforts to help unaccompanied migrant children. Estrella del Paso, formerly known as the Diocesan Migrant and Refugee Services, has just received stop work order from the federal government, cutting off their funding for the Unaccompanied Minors program.
And these children are incredibly vulnerable because they do not have the support of an adult.
Melissa Lopez is the executive director of Estrella del Paso. The nonprofit provides legal services to unaccompanied migrant children. She says the organization received a stop work order from the Department of Interior, although the grant is administered by the Office of Refugee Resettlement under the Department of Health and Human Services.
Currently, I'm working with a child. She's a young girl. She's currently in government custody, and the government is actively trying to deport her. At 13 years old, while trying to continue her education, she was kidnapped for a month in her home country. During that time, she was beaten, she was tortured, and she was sexually assaulted.
The stop work order has left attorneys like Jorge Rodriguez to work with a lot less funding to represent these children. However, it's important to know it doesn't stop the organization from providing the services.
Cases in the immigration system take a long time to work their way through the system. So we are not talking about a handful of cases. We are talking about hundreds of children, likely several thousand, who, without this funding, we will continue to represent, because we are not going to leave them alone. But we will be in a very difficult position financially in terms of trying to figure out how we can continue to represent them.
Well, Estrella del Paso estimates it has close to 2,000 open cases, and it plans to file a lawsuit to request that the program be re-implemented. Now, I did ask to get a copy of that stop work order, but was told that their funder asked that that document not be shared outside of the organization. Now, we did reach out to Congresswoman Veronica Escobar for comment, and she tells ARC El Paso this part of a twofold strategy by the president to reclaim as much federal funding as possible across the government to help finance tax cuts for billionaires and make legal immigration as challenging as possible, even for minors in court. Now, she goes on to say that none of this improves quality of life or reduces the cost of living for Americans, nor does it enhance national security. Well, Republican lawmakers and the president's supporters are praising the administration's crackdown on illegal immigration, and that includes Congressman Tony Gonzalez, who represents parts of Far East El Paso. In a social media post, Gonzalez voiced strong support for increased border security funding, backing the completion of the border wall, hiring more personnel, and expanding ICE detention capacity, aligning with President Trump's border security goals. Gonzalez was unavailable for comment today, but will join us tomorrow morning on the KFOX 14 Morning News for our Community Conversation segment.